OMG. Did you know that supposedly cell phones could cause cancer?
Huh? No way!
Yeah, like it's not confirmed, but I read it on the internet and it seemed pretty legit. There were even like a lot of studies on it.
A lot of studies, you say? Actually, I noted that Ustem uploaded a video on this. Maybe we should check it out.
Radio waves. What are they exactly? To figure this out, we would want to explore the definition of radiation, which roughly means to give off. So just because something gives radiation, it doesn't mean that it is nuclear, also known as ionizing radiation, which brings up another point. There are different types of radiation. Even colors that we see are a form of radiation. In fact, the visible spectrum of color has a higher frequency than radio and microwaves. So technically, radiation is everywhere, and we have to live with it. But does continuous exposure to radio waves specifically cause brain cancer? Our phone emits radio waves. It's practically on us at all times and has the closest range to us. From the moment we wake up and get ready for our day, to when we're eating, chatting, hanging with friends, waiting, our phone is there with us. So are we all at risk of developing brain cancer? We spoke with numerous experts on the subject to try and answer this question.
Is this recording?
Dr. Marlowe, what do you have to say regarding whether or not cell phones cause brain cancer?
Oh, why, yes, they do. I've seen it with my own eyes. The numerous brain cancers you can get from that dang old phone is astonishing.
But what evidence do you have that supports this claim of yours?
Well, actually, there are a couple of scientific articles that explain why, such as the Interphone study, the study conducted by the World Health Organization, and Hardwell's group study. But you probably couldn't comprehend them the way I do, so let me break it down for you. In the Interphone study,
scientists found that heavy cell phone users were 80% more likely to develop glioma, a tumor found in glial tissue in the nervous system. For individuals that owned a cell phone for 10 plus years, their risk of glioma increased by 120%. The World Health Organization has also classified cell phones as being a possible carcinogen meaning a cancer-causing substance. To add to this, Lennart Hardell's research group in Sweden found an increased presence of glioma in long-term cell phone users.
It's quite disrespectful of you to assume I wouldn't understand to begin with, especially considering that I have compiled those exact articles that you've named myself. And I have some questions about them. To begin, the Interphone study had no compelling evidence to support their claim. In a critique of the article made by Dr. Joseph Bowman and published by the CDC, Dr. Bowman found that the study had no measurements of radio frequency energy absorbed into participants' brains. All they had was indirect evidence, such as interviews and medical records. These records concerned many different factors, such as years of use, time spent on the phone, and the tumor's proximity to the ear. There's no way of telling which could have been the culprit, making the evidence muggy and uncertain. As for the World Health Organization, although they have classified cell phones as a possible carcinogen, there isn't much strong evidence to confidently say that cell phones do cause cancer. This is why it's possible instead of certain. Lastly, Hardell's group study is widely seen by epidemiologists as an outlier, as the study uses a highly flawed methodology. More specifically, scientists have not been able to replicate the findings of Hardell's study, making the results null in the eyes of science. So what do you have to say about all of this?
well, I
Why? That didn't seem to go as planned. Well, let's go have a chat with Dr. Noski and see his perspective on the matter. Dr. Noski, I'm sure you're aware that the public seems to be distraught and even shocked to learn that their beloved devices could actually cause them physiological harm. But would you say that they're justified in feeling this way?
Although we cannot say for certain that cell phones carry absolutely no harm, from what has been gathered so far, there is a lot of evidence showing that cell phones carry little to no bodily risk to us humans.
I still have my suspicions. What about the lithium-ion batteries within our devices? Is there any risk found there?
Well, that might be one common misconception. The batteries themselves don't give off radiation, so unless you come into direct contact with the contents of the battery, such as in leaks or explosions, you cannot get an increase in cancer risk.
Well, that's a relief. But is there any concern to be had with the constant stream of radio waves from our cell phones? Would those cause us any harm?
Not exactly, and the science behind radio waves can explain why. Radio waves are a form of non-ionizing radiation, and the most damage this type of radiation is capable of is heating you up a little. Ionizing radiation can knock off electrons of atoms, while non-ionizing only vibrates atoms, creating heat. Put simply, radio waves don't have as much energy as, say, waves with ionizing radiation, and when we're discussing the formation of cancers, we have to consider what takes place for that to happen. Essentially, there has to be something that breaks chemical bonds in DNA, causing mutations which lead to cancer. Radio waves simply don't have the strength or energy for this to occur, even if we're constantly bombarded with them.
Well, that makes sense. I just have one more question to ask, though. What are the stances that expert agencies have taken on this matter?
For the most part, expert agencies such as the CDC, the FDA, and the FCC have said that there isn't any scientific evidence proving that cell phones can cause cancer. More specifically, the FDA, the US Food and Drug Administration, has said that scientific evidence has not linked radio wave exposure from cell phones with any adverse health issues. Meanwhile, the FCC, the US Federal Communications Commission, has said that there isn't any causal link between cell phone use and cancer. Lastly, the CDC, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, has said that we currently do not have the science to prove that there are health problems linked to cell phone use.
I see. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak with you, Dr. Nurski, and thank you for taking your time to talk with us and for shining a much-needed light on this topic. The presumption that cell phones carry the same physiological risk as cigarettes or alcohol is quite a bit extreme. And considering the evidence that we've analyzed and the numerous experts we've spoken to on the matter, we can confidently conclude that cell phones carry a negligible, minute, and insignificant carcinogenic risk to ourselves.
Oh wow, so I guess our cell phones don't really cause cancer after all.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yay!